Good morning, stream. We are here, round 4 of the Ironweld GT. We currently have the Joe Pagano 3-0 playing his Soulblight Gravelords versus Anthony Lawrence's Slaanesh. Joe is running a Legion of Blood list with Neferata, and he's got 2 Vampire Lords and Zombie Dragons. One with the Cloak of Misted Shadows, which will ignore all modifiers to save. The Vial Transference for the spell. And a command trait, most people are taking Doom minions, but I'm a huge fan of this one, Tailored Downfall. So I'll be able to pick one enemy hero on the battlefield at the start of the game, and if they're in combat, then that hero fights last. The other Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon just has a flaming weapon, nothing fancy. Then he has for battle line 30 Death Rattle Skeletons and 4 units of 20 Deadwalker Zombies. The big bad boogeyman. Zombies. His grand strat will be Lust for Domination, so that'll be controlling more grave sites than opponent. His opponent, Anthony Lawrence, running Hostless Slaanesh Pretenders. Anthony Lawrence, no pretender to the competitive scene. He's got a Contorted Epitome fully loaded out for depravity here. With a command trait, Strength of Godhood, the Crown of Dark Secrets artifact, Flaming Weapon, and Fueled by Gurish Rage, so if it dies on a 3-up, it ain't dead yet. So this Epitome has 9 attacks base that are Rend 1, 1 damage, and 2 attacks that Rend 2, 2 damage. If he issues a command with the Epitome, that then he gains +1 to his rend and damage. It does not stack, but that means those weapons will then go to rend 3 3 damage and rend 2 2 damage. But the flaming weapon will kick up those 9 attacks to 3 damage each. So this Epitome can be slapping with 11 attacks at 3 damage each. And if it's in combat with you, you cannot issue or receive commands, so no all defense, or potentially even more rend. He's also got a Shard Speaker of Slaanesh, Born of Damnation, so roll 6 dice, every 4-up is a depravity. And at the start of the shooting phase, he'll be able to pick 1 enemy unit within 9, and on a 4-up, it's -1 to save. So that's even more rend coming through for this Epitome, which, you know, with all of these bonuses, you probably won't even have a save against the Epitome's attacks at 3 damage each. For a third hero, we've got the Mask, which will be able to deploy in his opponent's territory anywhere on the board 3 inches away at the start of the game. And it's got its own built-in 4-up ward. For battle line, we've got a reinforced unit of Blissbarb Archers, so a 22-man unit. Blissbarb Archers do come in unit sizes of 11, so only 10 of these guys have bows. The 11th one is a little simp that carries around a little brazier. It gives the unit +1 to wound rolls. The other 10 have bows. The unit can run and shoot. Rend 1, 1 damage. He has a second unit of Bliss Barbs, but they're not reinforced. So in total, a 22 and an 11 for 33 total Bliss Barbs. And then a third battle line of just 10 Demonettes. What else is in this army? We've got a mix of random stuff. Anthony Lawrence loves to just play a slot machine of random list generation, and has 10 Myrmidonish Painbringers, 5 Blissbarb Seekers. The Seekers, if they wound anything, whatever they wound for the rest of the turn is -1 to save, so even more save penalties coming in. And 5 Slickblade Seekers, which already have Ren 2 on their war scroll. He's got a Cockatrice, because Slaanesh can coalition in Beast of Chaos units. The Cockatrice has the ability that can pick something within 6, and on a 4-up, only 6s are hits. So you could look at one of these zombie dragons, and on a 6, you only hit on 6s, which completely reduces their output. We also have a unit of 10 Ungors with short spears and half shields, and a unit of 6 Furies. So the Furies and Ungors, probably just running around, holding objectives, screening out. Great utility pieces. Not everything in your list has to actually do damage, but when you combine that with the Shard Speaker Slaanesh and the Blissbarb Seekers, you can get some pretty good damage out of those. I think Fury's already Ren 1 on their War Scrolls, so you could potentially have Ren 3 Furies. His Blissbarb Archers are in Sharpshooters, which won't matter because Joe has no Galician champs. And he is, I think, a 12 drop, so Joe Pagano will have choice of going first or not. He's already asking his opponent threat ranges. Joe's going to be playing very reserved and conservative probably here for the first turn. And I will get an update on which of these zombie dragons is the big old ignore saves. So the Vampire Lord on the Zombie Dragon at the bottom of your screen is the general with the ignore saves. Joe using 2 ridiculously good models for his Vampire Lords on Zombie Dragons. These things are absolutely massive on the table. They have as much presence as Joe has himself at the table. They are huge. Joe is an incredible painter, has won plenty of painting awards at events, and if you haven't seen his work, you're missing out. It's absolutely beautiful. Neferata herself is on the left-hand side on that objective, surrounded by a bunch of skeleton warriors. Neferata herself is converted from a Sludge Raker from the Cruel Boys kit. So he's got Neferata sitting on that Sludge Raker, looking pretty. Now, Anthony Lawrence himself has played a lot of Soulblight in the past, so he's very familiar with Neferata. I know he actually won Everwinter last year, went 5-0 with a Legion of Blood list using Neferata. So when it comes to game knowledge here and list knowledge, Anthony might have a slight edge in actually having played Soulblight. But Joe, never count him out, because his opponent is only a pretender. No. Now, could Anthony Lawrence have net listed this from somewhere? Unsure. Both our players constantly chatting back and forth with each other. They are very close friends. very unlike 40K, we are having a great time at the table here at the AOS table. Anthony Lawrence pulling out the old Demonet models. You know, you wonder, why does this man not have a Keeper of Secrets on the table? Why does he not have something new like a Sinessa or Dexessa? It's because they're new models. This man doesn't play with new models, he plays with old models. He's an old soul. And Anthony does have 2 of the enhancements from the GHB. So he's got the Field Vigorous Rage on the Epitome, because the little tentacle thing that it's on does not actually count as a companion or a mount. So it's still considered a Galician champ. And so he's taken Tunnel Master on the Shard Speaker of Slaanesh, so he can teleport it, but if he does, he won't be within the 9 to potentially give it -1 to save in his shooting phase. So a little bit trade-off, but always great to have that utility piece in this current GHB to be able to teleport a Galician champ wherever you need it. There's a lot of missions that require Galician champs really to score extra points. This mission is the Jaws of Galat. So at the start of the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th battle rounds, the player going 2nd will be able to remove 1 of the objectives on the battlefield. So we're gonna start removing objectives as the game goes on until there's only 1 left. So Anthony is going to have that challenge of whittling down these zombies and skeletons before the game gets to that round 4 and 5 where there's only 1 or 2 objectives left to contest. Because if Joe's able to win these priorities and dictate where the objectives are burnt, then what we could see is him just castling up on a couple of objectives and saying, I don't think you can do the wounds here. Now, we'll be switching over mics shortly as we have the legendary Josh Hankin joining us. Now, one moment. So we're pretty much all set.
All right. Well, in that case, the game will play itself.
Every Saturday.
So, thanks for joining us, Josh.
Yes, apologies for being late, but that happens at these things.
So, an update on where this tournament stands here. We have, if my phone loads, we are in round 4, so we're whittling down into that who's left in the undefeated bracket, and we've been. Yesterday, we made sure we did not have any duplicate armies on stream.
Yeah.
You know, had to find variety.
Yeah, today I don't think it's avoidable because Soulblight.
Soulblight is basically half the undefeated field here. But this is a very different list than what we saw yesterday. Yesterday we saw Virkos with just a whole bunch of Graveyard and Crown Spine. This is Legion of Blood here with 2 Vampire Lords and Zombie Dragon and Neferata.
Yeah.
Yeah. There isn't any like burn towers.
Oh, mine actually says.
So,
When does it say at the start of the game?
And both really, I mean, we didn't say it much yesterday, but
so
like.
now there's a debate on players on when things trigger. So Anthony gets pregame moves on several of his units. Joe gets to redeploy Neferata and up to 3 Legion of Blood units.
Oh, okay, so they're figuring out the timing mechanics between the 2.
They have natural movement 16.
I'm gonna move some shit around here.
Alright. No, not anymore.
So
The
I'm gonna do-
golden guy
I'm gonna do
has a
I'm actually
+2 advance in charge,
Cool. Okay. So
Look, that fell off.
and the silver guy is -1 to from range.
Because I'm not gonna be able to dodge your.
And from up top, you can't see it that well, but those models are ginormous. They're probably
Yeah. They have
18 inches off the
They're all
table.
-1 to hit.
they have the table presence of Joe himself. They are
Yes.
enormous. They're bigger than the terrain. Now, Joe has swapped position, so the Vampire Zombie Dragon on the left of your screen here is the one that has the ignore modifiers to save. That's his general one.
Yep.
And he has put the other one, the one at the bottom with the massive wings there. That one is just a Vampire Zombie Dragon with a Death Lance and has flaming weapon. And he's put Neferata behind, so that is -1 to hit in combat.
Yep.
Now the mask has deployed all the way on the bottom left of your screen, just off the edge of our camera. There is the mask.
Ah, okay.
This game has the game has
So it's
this
like
section
my
of the game
like
is incredible.
ball. I put all my stuff in the corner so you can't attack me. I'm like, all right, the mask is right here. I'll charge you. I'll get a whatever 6 or 8 depravity or whatever it is.
So we currently have 6 3-0 players, of which 3 are Soulblight. We have a Slaanesh, Beast of Chaos, and a Night Haunt. Night Haunt at 3-0. Players have hugged it out. Joe is now. Joe's gonna take it.
Here, then when I roll like 30
Kill
dice
it with a vampire. I'm gonna kill
and
it
I'll
with
re-roll a bunch of this at you.
So
Sixes explode.
there is a Soulblight battle tactic to pick a hero, and if you kill it with a vampire, basically if you kill it with a vampire, you get your battle tactic.
Yep.
So Joe is deciding to pick that mask. It does have a built-in 4 board, but Legion of Blood says, I'm going to shut off your word save. So
Yeah, so,
that
yeah.
mask is going to... I know the battle tactic.
You know, you heard what I said.
Yeah, I know it.
Fortunately, Joe has a projecting voice, and we can hear him from over here.
I'll pull it up for you. You can continue.
Yeah, I'll kill some of it.
Like terrain, where I can put my command points and shit on.
What's in the middle? They just put your command points in the middle.
I could.
The choicest vintage.
It'll get knocked. Everyone will be
It is
like,
pick one enemy hero on the battlefield. You complete this tactic if that enemy hero is slain during this turn by attack made by a friendly vampire hero.
Oh, that's good.
When you make one for your
Now, that mask has a built-in 4 board, but it ain't gonna matter because under Legion of Blood, he does have a heroic action for premeditated bloodshed. So you can pick one Legion of Blood vampire hero. Until the end of this turn, ward rolls can be made for wounds or mortal wounds caused by attacks made by this hero.
That's a really good, and this is not something we saw yesterday. We saw a very difficult list. This is something completely different.
It's
That
something
is
completely
awesome.
different, 'cause this is-
And
this is
now for
unique to
something
Legion of
completely
Blood.
different.
This one's unique to Legion of Blood. The Virtuous list we saw yesterday had the very unique thing of being able to summon in 10 dire wolves and like add D3
Yep.
models to a
Yep.
unit.
And this one is no ward saves. That is also, it's interesting because there's so many books that just have one way to do things. And this seems like there's a lot of good options.
And
So
unlike the one we saw yesterday, the Virtuous ones are limited to your hero phase. The Legion of Blood ones don't have that limitation.
Oh,
So
yes.
it's at the start of the hero phase. So even on your opponent's turn,
That actually makes
as a
it-
great deterrent,
Yep.
you could be like,
Yep.
I'm going to turn off ward saves, come
Go
charge
ahead.
me.
Yep.
And
That's
with Taylor's
fantastic.
downfall on the general, one of those heroes, probably the epitome, there's no other really valid targets, is going to fight last if it's within combat of the of that general. So you could say, come at me,
And you're gonna fight last. My dragon's gonna bite you first.
and epitome only has a 5-up save. But the epitome also has, I think it's the artifact or the artifact command trait that one of Joe's heroes will only have an attack characteristic of 1 while it's within 6 of it.
That's a 5,
Interesting.
6, 7.
Where's the +1? Oh, it's your
Arcane and blood.
Yep.
So Joe casting spells on +2s because there's arcane terrain on his side, and Legion of Blood, if he's not in combat, he gets +1 to casting on binding the spelling rolls.
Goes on a 6.
Seems good. Seems good.
You don't have any second one. So he's going to be save stack. And then, that's it. So flame weapons, Mr. Shield. I'm not going to cast. Oh, I'll cast Arcane Bolt. Goes on 5.
You have 2 giant dragons.
I wanted 3, but I didn't have time to paint it.
And our 40k players
And
are
also, these dragons are really
very
expensive.
impressed by
These fucking
the amazing models that we have on our table and that we are playing a much superior game system of Age of Sigmar, and we are not touching 40k.
Gonna
Perhaps
Although
we'll see
maybe-
one of them convert by the end of the day and
Maybe.
decide that they're going to have
Maybe.
way more fun.
really, man.
Hopefully.
Two might be enough.
Yeah, and actually, the gentleman on the table next to us is playing demons. He could literally take his models and play that game.
Go join.
And let's,
You can go join them.
Join it.
You can. I mean, you've got
Yeah.
Slaanesh on the other side of the table, so
If you want to
can
roll
join
die
them.
on a 6, you can add a unit to their board.
I can help them out and just throw a Bellacore down.
Yeah, just Bellacore is very good.
Say summon them.
Yeah, because you're going on the diagonal. And I have a big base.
Bellicor actually much more fun in 40k than he is in AOS.
Yeah,
Really large dragon models are actually quite impressive.
yeah. And Joe's also a fantastic painter, so it's
Yeah, I asked him about the one that's closest to us, the one that he's using as his general.
Very transport friendly though.
Alright,
The model closest to us is a resin model,
Yep.
which comes from a well-known artist. I forget the name of, but I've heard him before, and it's a very expensive model.
yeah.
Neffy doesn't need to commit too much, so
And both of these models, I think, are resin kits, and
Yeah.
they're not 3D printed.
No, that's the thing is these are in the old style of way how Forge World was produced instead of 3D printing.
And you can't see it, but below his general one, he has like a little throne built into the base using some like extra bits for like a mortise engine.
Yep.
And there's actually a vampire lord stepping off of
Obviously I'm not
the
deep right
throne.
now, so like my
And then on the other base of the other zombie dragon, he's got one of like the vampires from, I think it's the like the Underworld tour band.
Yep.
So he still has like the GW vampire lords represented on the bases.
But
and
the
they're in such
dragons
great
are
poses.
these. Yeah.
minus.
I already forgot my
He has a power like the dunk,
10, 11, 12.
so he can teleport his. Yes.
I don't like quite. I played with the Vampire Lord Zombie Dragon once. I was not crazy over it, but seeing Joe's models, it makes me want to go crazy with conversion or something else and
Well,
play one again.
That was one of my favorite things when I did have an undead army back in the day, was that you could make zombies out of anything. I would literally be like, hey, who's got an extra box of elves? Cool. Add some zombie bits, paint them right, they look like zombies. Same thing with the dragon, same thing with any of the undead models, is that the options are pretty much limitless.
So Joe, in the end of his movement days, is now bringing out zombies on his grave from the graves. Now he has to bring them out wholly within 12 of the grave sites. That's the tokens you see. There's like brownish tokens. There's one in the center objective, one between the left hand the objectives, one on that bottom right objective, and then the other one's kind of pushed aggressively towards his opponent's army right now. And his opponent Anthony Lawrence helping him out, helping speed up this game by helping him set up as many zombies as he can on that objective over there, as far away from the Slaanesh army as possible still. So Joe's just gonna plant zombies everywhere and say, these are mine. I think I have more bodies than you in your entire list still, so I'm gonna make you fight over these objectives and keep my vampire lords nice and healthy for the late game, because my zombies will come back anyway.
Yep. And when you have that kind of screen that actually can do some damage as well, because there's a lot of kind of, we'll call them interesting mechanics to zombies. Being able to have your giant dragons that can counterpunch in reserve is an excellent thing to have set up.
Bellacore you cannot reroll.
And I think he wants to keep these skeletons safe and healthy, because if you go into like turn 4 and you still have your 30 pick of skeletons when there's like 1 or 2 objectives left at the end of the game, oh,
Yeah.
that's money.
Yeah, there's not much that's going to pick up 30 skeletons in one go.
Especially since Anthony has a lot of shooting in his list, and the skeletons at the start of the combat phase will die for every model that's missing in the unit, or if they add one back. So
Right.
shooting, not very effective, because
No,
essentially
they-
half of
they
what you kill
They
is going to
basically
come
have a
back.
built-in rally every turn in the combat phase.
4
On a
up.
4 up.
It's madness.
5 up shrug, it's power, that much power,
Really
and
funny if I killed them.
that much power.
That's what. And then the other one
Rest
shoots
is
down.
plus 1 hit and 5 first. Power,
So here we have
third power.
Vampire Lords breathing into that mask.
I can turn off your auras if I roll high enough. I don't think you have auras.
I do. I have reroll auras on all the greater demons. They give off the reroll ones. So the appropriate demons of any kind. He obviously being all four, that's all of them, but like
So here we go. The charges.
he strangely enough gives it to himself and other greater demons. Like one of the few characters.
I'm not familiar with what the mask does in the current edition. I know it's
So
defensive because it has a 4-up ward and you can place it in kind of an awkward spot, but
other than that, it doesn't do really a whole lot. I feel
it's
like
kind of a disruption piece and just
Yeah, it's
go fucking deal with this.
I know it has extra attacks on it. I'm pulling up now. It's a 10-inch move, 5 wounds, 5-up save. It has 6 attacks at 3s and 3s, -1 rend, 2 damage. At the start of your hero phase, so at the start of Slaanesh's player hero phase, you can either add 3 attacks characteristic or heal up to 3 wounds allocated to him.
Okay,
So it can go up to 9 attacks.
really
so
tough, really tough to scoop, unless you do it in one go. Like a zombie dragon probably could, but if you undercommitted to try to kill it, it's not going to happen.
Yep, and he can run and still charge, so he's pretty mobile, has that 4-up built-in ward. And the reason he's all the way over there is because after deployment, before the first battle round, you can remove from the battlefield and set him up again wholly in your opponent's territory, more than 3 for enemy units. So, it's a bit of an annoying piece. It has potential, though, if your opponent doesn't screen off like a small hero, a key piece,
Yep.
you can just deploy him 3 inches away, take top of 1, and go, alright, you dead.
Yep. It's a nice little assassin.
And with Anthony's list, the other thing is Anthony's got 12 drops. So he could put a mask somewhere, and his opponent might be forced into having to take top of 1
Yep.
in a situation that they'd rather give it away.
Yep. For 140 points. Right.
140 points.
Yep. It is.
And I
It's
believe
very
it's a-
similar to sort of the Destroyer Lord on foot, right? Like same cost, but with Tunnel Master and Mighty Destroyers, you have that same idea of just a very weird thing that people have to react to, and people probably are going to overreact to, which is great.
Or are you walking on it?
I'm not deep strike head.
Right, I have the ability to make turn 3 counts as turn 2.
Like if you
But you have no
you
deep
two
strikes.
didn't
No,
play.
no. I have the ability to focus your reserves.
I don't have any deep strike.
We have eye for an eye.
He has eye for an eye.
But I'm talking like if you're walking in on the board, I have the ability to make turn 3.
Joe, with his 5-point turn, Anthony will take eye for an eye since he did lose the mask.
It limits where you can
Reserves.
And he's going to have to kill a unit here of zombies.
turn 3. I say make it count as 2.
Joe is now using Finest Hour on his unit of zombies.
What now?
Both players having a good time. Before the game started, Joe asked his opponent to roll a die. And Anthony rolled a 4. So Joe quickly left the room and came back with 4 beers for him and
Yep.
4 beers for himself.
Okay, that sounds about right.
Is apparently, and Anthony filled me in on the story, apparently goes back to an Adepticon where he was playing a game, and Jacob Berry just showed up at his table and said, "Can you roll die for me?"
And
And Anthony rolled a 3.
and proceeded to eat
And
said
Joe
dice.
just and Jacob just turned around, without a word spoken, came back with 3 beers in hands, in each hand, said, 3 for you, 3 for me. And that was it.
Yep, that sounds about right.
So keeping the tradition alive, that sounds like an awesome tradition to have.
How many depravity do you have now?
No, I cast the spell. Yeah. And then I roll 6 dice, 4 ups, I get it.
Three DP.
3 DP.
3 DP.
It looks like at one point you were messing
So,
around with it.
Anthony with Born from Damnation getting 3 depravity. Are you familiar with depravity?
I am. I was
Like in
depraved. I
the
was
game
depraved by Tom Guan at a GT not long ago, and it was a very
with the current book.
with the current book, with the offering of dice every time, and it was a running gag for the rest of the weekend. It was quite fun.
For our viewers unfamiliar with it, Slaanesh's whole shtick is depravity.
Yep.
And
Is it 12 enough to cast Mystic Shield?
I believe you might need a 13 for Mystic Shield, but well,
Only or
depravity, you'll gain a stacking buff every time you basically hit an increment of 12. So at 12, you become -1 to hit. At 24, your 6s to hit do a mortal wound in addition in melee. And then at 36, your army gets a 5-up ward save. You could spend depravity to also summon demons, but they have made it pretty expensive now.
Yeah, it seems more to stack up the buffs, kind of like the big wog thing that was out, that still is out. But just let it keep piling up, and you'll ultimately have some pretty good buffs on your army. It's a really fun mechanic because it does give the option for the player to the opponent to either accept a D3 mortal wounds,
How would they
or
get depravity?
That's exactly it. No, yes, exactly. Their depravity is based off of the other opponent's choices, which makes it fantastic, as opposed to something you do.
So
for the most part, there's still like the spell that will.
At the start of every, I think it's battle round or turn. It's battle round, I think.
Yeah.
The Slaanesh player will get 6 temptation dice that they can offer their opponent on either a save roll, a hit roll, or a wound roll.
Yep.
And if their opponent accepts the temptation dice, they get a 6 for it. So it's after they roll dice, you could say, oh, it's a shame you rolled a 1 there. Would you like a 6 in these trying times?
Yep.
And if they accept, then they get the 6 for that roll, but the Slaanesh player gets D6 depravity.
Yep.
They can reject Slaanesh's offer and say no, in which case, no depravity, but they have to take D3 mortal wounds as they resist Slaanesh's temptation. And if they reject it, the dice is still used, so you only get 6 dice, or 6 times you can, offer those dice for temptation.
But that's every turn, so you could ultimately have 36
Is every
depravity. I'm pretty sure it's every. I think so. But only once per roll. So you can't do like, hey, you want 2 of those to be 6s. I believe it's only you can do once.
It's limited to you can't offer a temptation die more than once per phase to the same unit.
Yep.
And sort of each battle round.
Okay, so it's 6 per battle round versus turn, but
maximum of 30 temptation dice over the course of the game.
yeah. But 30 temptation dice is, if the other player accepts it, that's 30 d6 is depravity.
And Anthony's grand strategy is to have 36 or more unspent depravity points at the end of the battle. So, pretty simple. That's where he wants to get to. It is very achievable if you have shooting, because you can constantly split your shots into multiple units, and offer those dice. I got to play against Slaanesh in the doubles recently, and my poor opponent kept rolling like 1s and 2s on his depravity. So I kept feeling free to just take his dice
fine.
and go,
As long as you're gonna
yeah,
roll
I'll
that shit,
take it.
just makes it easy.
Just roll 1 or 2 again.
Yeah.
And he kept rolling them. I felt pretty bad. And then it was mostly a shooting army, and I didn't care about the -1 hit, so I was like, even if you hit 12, I don't care.
That's fine.
You get 24, I don't care.
Except the King Bringers, because they're like.
Slaanesh, very quick. The Blitzbarb Archers and the Blitzbarb Seekers have run and shoot. The Slickblade Seekers have run and charge. And so the ones on the mounts, I think, are base 14-inch movement. So extremely fast. They've got the zoomies.
Yep. Yeah, they are super, super fast.
I'm interested here seeing Anthony moving up all of these lines of bodies across the table. Because zombies do have an ability that at the end of the combat phase, for every model that was slain by attacks by them, you roll a die, and on a 2-up you add a zombie to a unit, so it can go above its starting strength. And even though zombies really don't do anything in combat, there's a lot of weak things like Furies, Ungors, that are very fragile in combat. So zombies can actually eat through some Ungors and get even stronger. So interesting to see how this plays out with the Ungors advancing off the table like this, and what's he really actually screening? Because the only real actual damage pieces Joe has are those 3 big models, the Vampire Lord Zombie Dragons and Neferata. Outside of that, Joe has like no damage in his list. It's just zombies and a block of skeletons.
It's bodies and a couple of hammers, but it is 3 hammers, so there's still that.
Which can get neutralized pretty hard by that one artifact that neuters the attacks.
That's true.
I would argue that's one of these inconsistencies.
Joe talking up his opponent.
Well, then we'll change it.
Now that artifact, I've been talking a lot about it, is at the start of your first hero phase, you pick an enemy unit on the battlefield for the rest of the battle while that unit is within 6 of the bearer. The attack characteristic of that unit's melee weapons is 1.
Interesting.
So
So
Vampire
that
Lord Zombie guy
that would affect the dragon as well. Because it's
Yep.
melee weapons, it doesn't specify mount or
and
carry.
Legion of Blood also, if they're in combat, they get +1 to their attacks. Everything's just set to 1.
Yep. Doesn't matter. As many pluses as you want. It's a 1.
So Anthony issuing the first all-out attack. With Pretenders, he can issue commands multiple times. It's much like a Mega Boss. He's getting 3 command points every hero phase for his general being alive instead of the normal 1. I also apologize if there's a lot of background noise. There are a lot of events going on here. And we do have 40K in our streaming room, as well as Marvel Crisis Protocol.
MCP kicking up too. And they have several tables being streamed for MCP because they only need, I don't know, 2 square feet to play the game, it looks like.
Yeah, and they're taking up more space. What's with that?
I've got the chess block is not very like the dice canvas is very strategically placed.
So Anthony's gonna have to hope he does a lot of work here on these zombie units. Now, the other thing is, none of these zombies look like they're wholly within 18 of a hero of his general, which is all the way on the edge of the table.
Yep.
So he's got no inspiring presence.
Right.
Even though zombies are bravery 10, even if he kills like 14 of these guys,
Yep.
he's probably gone.
And, I mean, there's buckets of dice being rolled. I assume these are shots into them.
Yep. He's going to have a total of 60 shots from Blissbarb Archers and another, I think, 16 shots from the Blissbarb, Seekers.
Yeah.
Blissbarb Seekers. So, he's got 2 units, so it's actually 62 shots from Blissbarb Archers because of the high tempter in the units. Get an extra shot each. So,
Joe rolling his death saves.
and that is the unit. There it is, the battle tactic. Now, those are demonettes at the top left of your screen, facing down the 20 zombies. More shots coming out into the unit on the left-hand side. Five zombies have been slain. So we'll see if he charges these demonettes in, if demonettes can actually...
What work they can do against zombies?
Here we go. Slickblade Seekers are going to make their charge at the bottom of your screen here.
Is that a solo hero who's engaged there?
Oh, those are the gravesite tokens.
Oh, it's a gravesite token. Okay. It looks the same as Anthony's bases, which makes it difficult from the overhead.
It does, doesn't it?
That's why I saw it. I was like, how did a hero get in there?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
they're up in here and then there.
Yeah, alright, that makes sense.
So, demonettes going to the other zombie unit. I'm expecting the demonettes to swing first. The Slickblade Seekers really aren't in any trouble.
Yep.
You know, they've got 4 wounds each, so even if he takes 2 or 3, it's not going to reduce his attacks back.
Yep.
The Demonettes do have 1. Oh, he's doing the Slick Blades first.
Interesting.
I think this could be a slight mistake because if the zombies kill any models, he's going to reduce the attacks of Demonettes.
Each one's a pretty significant reduction in attacks, especially when you're trying to scoop a unit. But I think probably keeping those Slick Blades healthy is a bigger priority for Anthony, because the Demonettes, even if you lose some, you always have the option to possibly rally them. And those are isolated zombies, so there's no buffs going on them, so they really just have to hope for hot dice.
There's any need to keep them super healthy. Like, if anything gets into them, like, it's just the Vampire Lords on Zombie Dragon or Ferrata, and they'll probably pick up the unit anyway from full health. Because the Slick Blade Seekers, you know, they're 4 wounds each, but they're only like a 5-up save, so until he gets to that like 36 depravity, he's got the 5-up ward. But -1 to hit will hurt once he gets to that 12 depravity, because still a lot of these attacks, like the mounts from the zombie dragons, still only hit on like 4s.
Yeah. It's the -1 to hit is huge, and hitting that, which I don't think. Well, he's not at yet.
You can only all attack 1 unit too.
Yep.
There's no other buffs to get plus hits in Soulblight.
Okay, so we'll probably best. If I move 14, that's just approximate.
Do you want to put some down and mark the radius and start picking up?
13 zombies slain, 7 left. He'll lose 3 plus D6 on the battle shock, so he could potentially lose that unit there. Only 7 left.
And there's going to be need for battle shock in 2 locations, so even although it looks like he's out of range on that north unit,
So
I don't know if there's a hero near that south unit. I can't
they're
tell.
all
I don't think
there's
so.
only 3 heroes on the board, and they're all in the bottom corner.
And zombies don't have a champion.
Nope. Zombies need no champion.
One
They're
zombie
all
needs
champs.
to get.
Oh, we got 2 hits into the Demonettes. Here we go. Is it 2 hits? Oh. All those attacks, only 3 wounds. So no damage into the Demonettes.
No.
Big unfortunate. He's only got 6 guys in range to swing here.
This guy. So I will advance those terminators. This guy will stay here for now. I'll come back to him. So I'm advancing the terminators.
Who is that?
3 red 1.
Just 3 at Ren 1 and
Yeah.
these zombies.
Yeah, so not enough to actually do anything.
So
I'm going to kill the few zombies,
So-
which is good. And now Anthony, were those 20 demonettes or 10?
10.
10. So they're going to lose that objective anyways, but it doesn't matter because Anthony has 3 others.
roll in battle shock, loses 3 more zombies.
Oh, they were shot at as well.
Yeah, they got shot by the small unit of unreinforced split barbs, because the full reinforced unit ended up taking out the zombies in the middle.
Yep. Yep. Just scooping. Get your shovel, putting the zombies back in the ground.
And so 5 points for Anthony. We're going into Pyro.
So it's a 9. So if I give it to you,
Joe is 1 priority and is now debating here, because if he takes second, he gets to remove one of these objectives. So Joe very afraid of the shooting here, because even though he's got ignore save modifiers on things, it's a lot of volume of shooting.
I think I have to give you the demo because if you burn my objective,
So
Yeah, I know the mission.
Joe?
The mission is coming into
Yep, here
the
we go.
conversation here about burning an objective.
Joe playing towards the mission and deciding to give Slaanesh the double, so that way he can dictate which objective is burnt.
So my heroic action. So basically, you tell me what your battle technique is.
Battle tactic onto
Next edition, you'll be able to run through your models.
Really?
So
I actually, I'm like,
Common manure.
so,
coming manure.
this is B24.
This is not a beast battle.
So I'll probably slightly back
You know,
up.
cutting maneuver.
yeah, the center one's the only eligible one, or the so cunning maneuver, pretty easy battle tactic.
Actually, I'll burn the center one.
No, you have to burn it before battle tactics.
I know, but so at this point, you want to change. I'm gonna do that, and then you just change his battle.
Okay.
I'm not burn this one. So we just gotta. Yeah, I think if I burn the center one, that's dumb. I'll burn it. So you can still. I just want to. I want to be like, oh, I could do this, and I could do that.
So a little debate here.
Joe pulling a little rope-a-dope there. He was gonna burn the center center objective. Decided instead to burn the back objective, which makes a lot more sense because there's zero chance Joe's gonna get that in a while, but he could possibly grab that middle one. And that leaves Anthony's choice of battle tactic being a cunning maneuver in play because he's gonna grab that middle objective with a hero or with a GC, or at least try to.
There you go.
That will also mean that Anthony can just push his entire army forward because he doesn't need to keep
Yeah,
anything
there's no
back
reason
there.
to be back there.
You know, there's a grave site that threatens that back objective, and there's 2 units of zombies dead that he can bring back 10. But you know, Anthony no longer having to concern himself
Get like 1 million command points in this
with the back of the board there.
Literally, basically
Yeah, it's like I have that whole like you gotta spend 2 to all out defense, and it's like a thing.
Yeah, the other heroic action available to Legion of Blood is you can basically create an aura of 12 inches where if your opponent wants to like all out defense, they have to spend 2 command points to.
Oh,
It's completely irrelevant against pretenders that have 1,000,000 command points.
yeah.
It's like the Oprah of command points. You get a command point. You get a command point. Everybody gets a command point.
Between that and depravity, there's an awful lot of funny shenanigans going on.
I mean, both players have chairs. I haven't even looked under the chairs because there's depravity and command points under the chairs.
Look into your chairs. Not only is there depravity, but there's also another beer.
Oh, beard.
I snuck around last night and duct taped beers in the bottom of every chair, so if anyone actually checks,
That would be awesome for Everwinter. For those unfamiliar, Everwinter GT back here in Boston this December. So, feel like you're missing out. You don't have to miss out too long.
Yeah, we have this is a 60-player Sigmar event going on this weekend. I think Everwinter was 140, so it's about double the size as far as Sigmar goes. Also, 40K is much larger, but we don't honestly really care about that. A lot of other game
We
systems.
do care about all of the game systems here, even though we do joke about them.
Yeah, we do. It's you know, a good jiving.
Even though they don't have any fun on the 40K side, we still like to have them around, so that way we can make fun of them.
Yeah. But they are, you know, it's nice because we get to grow the community here in the Boston area by having events like this. And, you know, Everwinter literally was running a store last year. Ironweld was running.
Ironweld,
This
I was
in
there.
a store. Yep, that's where we played. We talked about it yesterday. 20 players or so, but we got a lot of.
I think it was
people
almost 30, I think.
Maybe close to 30, but that's about the max for the
the
local
store, yeah.
We stayed in the Red Roof Inn right next door to it. It was a different type of event.
So it is amazing to see how much it has grown from just like a barely 30-player GT at a store to the following year having over 200 players in attendance
In
over various game systems, vendors, streams going on here, professional network doing Marvel Crisis Protocol. I have no idea who's doing the 40K stream.
That gentleman across the way.
The gentleman across the way, I have no
who he
idea
is,
where,
but
like, what he represents, or
He's behind a giant screen.
I don't even know what he looks like. All I've seen is the top of his head. He's got a nice hairline.
He does have
but
a nice hairline. He's got a monitor in front of his face, so we can't see the rest of it. But yeah.
I wish the rest of 40K was like that. We couldn't see them, but here we are. We've got Conquest going on, Star Wars Legion, Star Wars Armada, Infinity, Blood Bowl,
There was a couple of really fun social games last night. There was so we played Werewolf because we always play Werewolf. One
That's
night
a
Werewolf.
wicked dicey tradition.
It is. We show up. We didn't even have the deck. We just wrote. Someone had stickers, and we wrote on the backs of stickers. It was quite fun. But then there were two. Yeah, and then there was two folks who floated through earlier that I believe they helped design the game. That was almost like a room social deception where they divide people into two rooms. You get cards that have your assigned type on them, and it's a 40K based where someone is the emperor, someone is a bomber, and you're trying to get the bomber and the emperor in the same room, and there's a bunch of other roles. It's very fun. Probably had 16 people playing that last night. It was interesting.
So the center table, you see that unit advancing up is the Myrminesh Painbringers. It's a reinforced unit, 290 points of Myrminesh Painbringers here. They have a 6-inch move, 2 wounds each with a 3-up save. If they're wholly within 12, if they're wholly within enemy territory or wholly within 12 of an objective they don't control, then they get +1 save. That's not going to be the case here because Anthony does control the center objective, and Joe's territory is still pretty far away. But they do have 3 attacks each with Ren 1 damage, so they will shoot through.
Is the
things like
base
zombies.
unit for that 3 models?
It's 5, so it's a 10-man unit.
That's a really good value for what it is, right? So that's a 145 for a 3-up save and 2 wounds apiece.
Yep, and then as you get the depravity, you'll get
Yep.
-1 to hit, and then at 36 you'll get a 5-up ward.
It's incredibly tanky, which is interesting because that's not usually Slaanesh's play.
It usually isn't. Yeah.
No, usually they're a go ahead and hurt me, and then they get some benefit out of it. These guys apparently are just like shields up.
Anthony's got like a nice little kind of Swiss Army knife of a toolkit here. So he's got some tankiness. He's got plenty of shooting. Here come the Slick Blade Seekers. These things, 14-inch move, run and charge.
We were talking about Joe's models before, but Anthony has actually custom made this army, I think, for the most part, and it is.
The Demonette models are the old school ones.
They're
like,
the old metal style models from back in the before times.
Anthony played Soulblight at the Everwinter, and his Soulblight army is all converted to look like Tomb Kings.
That's right. Yep.
So he's a fan of all of the old stuff. He's bringing the old worlds constantly to Age of Sigmar.
Yep. It's it happens to us, we'll call it older gentlemen in the gaming realm that have been playing this for decades and have a lot of extra stuff at home.
It was not a wound yet. So in any case, it's best to say. I feel like I was just kidding. Also.
So Anthony just advancing pretty much everything and a big blob in the middle. So he will.
Yeah. The thing with this this mission is that since that back objective is burned, Anthony just has to kind of be prepared to jump on any other one, and if he can reinforce all 3 of those center ones, then there's no way Joe can end up with more, right? And obviously Anthony's
He's got so
all
much speed.
in that middle.
He can be from the center. He can be anywhere he wants next turn. Interestingly enough, though, he only moved the Ungors down on the bottom right, and there's only, it looks like, 5 or 6 models on that objective. With the gravesite there, Joe can roll and bring zombies back here, and if he brings back 10 zombies on that objective,
because of the gravesite, yep.
But I don't see Joe rolling the die for the zombies to come back.
Is it automatic or is it a command point?
No, it's automatic at the end of every movement phase. So I'm not sure if Joe's completely forgotten.
Yeah, that might have been the case. I don't know.
because that would have denied an entire point there for his opponent.
Not to mention getting 10 models back on the table. Getting 10 models back on the table.
So, you know, which we cannot ask or interfere. Trying our best not to interfere with these games unless we see something very kind of out of the norm. Or
It's very different if players forget something than players playing a rule materially wrong. And that's why we interrupted yesterday.
Yeah, but I mean, we had a new book yesterday.
Yeah,
So just a misunderstanding.
Everyone's getting used to it.
GW not the best with some of its rules writing at times. So
And they fluctuate back and forth, right?
Completely
It's
honest
like-
mistake there.
Yep.
Don't want to.
As many of these guys as are range.
So one slot, reroll once.
So a lot of shooting coming into these skeletons. At the start of the combat phase, every dead skeleton on a 4-up will just come back.
So yeah, there'll be 2s, 3s.
Yeah, again, I suspect it's a depravity thing.
So that was also plasma and
Yeah, but it also keeps some bodies off
It
the table
does, yeah,
too.
because while they do get them back, they don't get all of them back.
Yeah,
right?
there's
So,
nothing else to shoot
even
at
if
too.
even it's almost the same as if they had a 4-up ward. It's the one thing to shoot at. You whittle it down. Pretend they have a 4-up ward. You'd still make the shots.
So Joe's gonna need to get into these Blitzbarb archers in order to really cut down on the damage output in this list, but Anthony is screening them out so well with those Herbidash Banebringers, these slick blades. He's got Furies on kind of the left-hand side of your screen there on that objective. The epitome is right there in the middle of it all, that oval base. You see the cockatrice, the larger of the circle bases.
Yeah, Anthony just went out and stuck his cock in the middle of the table.
It's a bold move against somebody like Joe.
It is. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
actually it's 12.
So
So put all the 10 in.
So you are gonna get me here. There is no point.
So more shots coming out into the skeletons.
So this guy.
This is a team skeletons. 11. I'd run 1. Run 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Now, because the Blitzbarb Seekers shot first on the skeletons are a -1 to save, so all these Blitzbarb Archers are effectively Ren 2. Which is why you see so many skeletons dropping.
Yep. That is that's brutal. I didn't realize that was a thing.
You have no one here right before.
Yeah, there's a lot of cheekiness. This epitome can slap so hard in this list because there's if the Blitzbarb Seekers wound you, your -1 save for the rest of that turn. The Shardspeaker Slaanesh at the start of the shooting phase can pick something within 9. On a 4-up, it's -1 to save. The epitome, if it's in combat with you, you cannot issue or receive commands, so no alt defense. If the epitome issues a command, then for that set turn, it's +1 to its rend and attack and damage. So its rend on its war scroll goes to rend 3 and rend 2. So it could effectively go to rend 5 and rend 4 with you not being able to issue commands for non defense.
Yeah,
with damage 3 on all of its profiles, with all of its buffs. So imagine 11 attacks coming through at
and it
damage
can
3.
offer you the depravity as it attacks you. So, would you like to be murdered less? Okay, take a D3 mortals, or give me depravity points.
How many skeletons ones left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
So 8 skeletons
He has
left,
8
so
skeletons
22
left.
dice.
7, 8 skeletons. I don't know if Anthony has any more shooting though.
Nope, this is it. We're going into the combat phase here.
It's interesting because, at least from the table state currently, I mean, Anthony is everywhere and Joe has been mostly removed. So, given the boogeyman that Soulblight is, can the 2 zombie dragons and Neferata and the 8 skeletons smack their way out of this.
So 12 skeletons coming back. So 20 skeletons left.
Wolverine goes straight Viper. And then Viper's gonna die.
What weapons have you made?
Thunder hammers from the turn.
It's good. And these guys,
One
Joe remembering that he can bring the zombies back,
And Anthony
rolling.
being a good opponent, and as it wasn't something that would materially change the game, and Joe specifically said, he's like, I'll put him someplace that won't change what he was doing.
And Anthony, and yeah, since we're so late, they're allowing Anthony. So having the beta, if you forgot, you forgot.
And it's something that players work out on something like that, because you have a situation where, I mean, it might have changed Anthony's shot selection, right? Because picking up
No, because they would have been out of range there anyway from where they're going.
his end
The
of
only thing about
movement
this, if
that
he would
they
have
come up.
remembered, if Joe would have remembered this at the same time, then he would have been able to bring him there. He is like
could have actually
Anthony
blocked, yeah.
nudging the
Yep.
Ungors over,
Yep.
which means that Joe necessarily won't be able to get that objective off on the turn. So if you can kill like an Ungur or two and keep those zombies healthy, then he might be able to take that objective.
Yeah.
It's huge because Anthony is basically taking almost the entire board here.
Yeah.
Which is very unusual against a Soulblight army.
I mean, the zombies, the quantity of shooting is just literally blotted out the zombies.
Yeah.
And it's
And
just scooping.
We really haven't seen Joe really have a turn yet. Like
No.
his turn one was essentially, I'm just gonna put a bunch of zombies here
And kill
pick
the
up the
mask.
free battle tactic
Yeah.
for the mask, secure the 5 points, and not get
Well,
completely
that's why
obliterated
I'm
by shooting
wondering,
turn one.
can those 2 zombie dragons, the couple of skeletons, and whatever he summons back, like, fight through all of this?
Yeah. Now the
Sexy Flanders.
Slickblade Seekers and the Blitzbar Seekers are pretty pushed up, so there's opportunity to pick up those, which he's going to need to do. The main thing is he going to be able to at all get into those Blitzbar archers. Demonette's mopping up what's left of the zombies on that objective up top. So 5 points for Anthony.
Joe picks eye for an eye.
Eye for an eye from Joe.
Okay, so I will do my
Cyclops? If you have black widow.
I am going to attack this guy.
The rules are out there. Yeah, but
This way. You have no one in this area.
Going away from each other.
Absolutely.
Little
Yes,
wise.
what I'm trying to do is.
It may be a wise decision,
So what?
not an optimal decision.
Yeah.
Not a tactical.
We are not here to be.
So Anthony rallying, able to get a Demonette back. Demonettes do rally on 5s when they're banners.
I'd rather have the one
Anything
get a
else?
bunch of free battles, but at least this is something that
Not get a
consistent turnover turn, so it's like something weird, goofy, whatever. Cool.
He's too good of a guy to do that.
Okay, so I think
Right.
Joe, we're cut out from him this round.
I support that.
All of his heavy hitters are so far in the corner. Is he going to be able to actually get enough done this round? Because they're also going to priority, so he will have a chance to maybe get into a double.
If he
but-
doubles,
But
I'm
this
curious.
submission, you want to really give it away as much as you can.
yeah.
So he's already positioned that I feel like he might need to take top of 3 if he wants to actually get something done.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those missions where you want to be in a position to just you give it to your opponent every time if you win it. So winning is losing, but losing is winning.
I'll unbind this.
So flaming weapon unbound.
They are a little feet.
Dark Mist did not go off. Mystic Shield also unbound, so no spells going off yet.
Well, as Anthony is the local here, he did the Akimbo Mutombo, not in my house.
No,
Not
today.
in my house. I mean, you need two Anthonys standing on each other's shoulders to get there, but I could see him doing it.
Yeah, but he only
He's gonna quick draw.
Great. We are joined by one of our wonderful organizers here, Miles.
Sorry, how's it going?
How's the event going
I
for you,
can't
Miles?
speak.
Yeah, Miles has trouble with words, but he looks beautiful, so it's great.
I also just had a Monster Energy drink, so I'm like,
He's jittery.
Well, he's got the jitters.
You can see.
You can also
All,
see
all
Miles.
89 pounds of Miles is jittery.
You can also see Miles on the Wicked Dicey Friday morning
Yes.
5-0 show.
The morning show, which
Morning
is
show.
good
sometimes
fun.
the 0 and 5 show.
Yeah, sometimes the 0 and 5 show.
Lovingly.
Bellator is going to be training Shane.
Who's got the edge?
So in list and mission, I felt like Soulblight has a slight edge because of the bodies and being able to dictate. However, Anthony has pushed himself in a position where he's just commanding the entire board state right now. And Joe's all the damage output in this list is basically just 3 models, and they're so far back that they're almost irrelevant. I feel like.
I mean, they can get there, but the only thing they're going to be able to fight is exactly what Anthony wants them to fight.
Yeah.
That's the trouble. You see that tan line going across the middle? It's not just from being out in the sun and wearing a tank top. It is Anthony's army across the board.
Yeah, so Joe really needs to find a way to deal with these Bliss Barb archers, but they're so deep in that castle and they're surrounded by everything that it's going to be rough and challenging. Now the objective there at the top right of our screen underneath the Fane of Slaanesh, that one's burnt. So the objective is no longer at the table. So there's only 4 active ones. And Anthony has really castled himself on the center, going into Warrior now on the bottom of 2. And so no matter what on Anthony's next turn, he'll be able to shoot and push to whatever objective he wants to. He's got basically free reign here. So Slaanesh able to issue the same command multiple times for pretenders. He's able to redeploy those demonettes as well as his seekers at the bottom.
Joe's models are just so amazing.
I'm gonna put this one. So 4 zombies.
You gotta roll it. Oh, this is your.
So I did this now, and then I did the turn.
I'm going to Infernal Gateway.
Nope, that's what they told them.
And this is the 9.
Oh, can I deny?
Use the fly. Yeah, you can try to knock down my.
So Miles, since we got you, how's the event overall? Is it running smooth?
It's going good.
Any fights?
We've had like one tiny minor complaint and 99 compliments, so I'll take that as a
So
win.
if you're having game problems, I feel bad for your son. I got 99 compliments. I don't know. I could finish that. I could finish the rest, but I feel like it might get a little too salty for this early in the morning.
Yeah, we can be salty.
So I'm interested to see what happens here. We've got a bunch of zombies being pulled out from the grave. This is that 4th unit of zombies that were in the grave.
I'm sorry. There's a 4th unit of zombies.
Yep, they're 4.
Wow.
Come on, you thought there was only 60 zombies? Those are rookie numbers, son. You gotta
Pump those numbers up.
So interesting to see why he's bringing them out there, because the objective on the bottom right is currently Anthony's, and they're tied 10-10 on it. I don't know if those 10 zombies are going to be enough to really deal with it. He didn't move the zombies up to charge,
Yeah.
so effectively he's not getting that objective.
But those are just Ungors, right? So might be able to fight through it with.
But he didn't move the zombies up to be able to like charge. I don't think.
That's interesting.
I would have liked to see him move them up and try to make a charge in there.
I mean, to be fair, they're through the beer and a half of the first one, and it's not
To
beer.
be
They're
fair.
drinking. To be fair. They are they're through the first. Looks to be about a beer and a half each. So they either need to step up the pace of the game or the pace of the drinking.
So these pestilent breaths coming off the zombie dragons. They're Ren 1, 3 damage each.
Oh, what's the range on that attack?
I think it's only like 9 or 10 or.
Right, but it's enough that he can hit. Yeah, that's.
You know, I don't play with these models. Zombies.
Yeah, zombies. You understand. You are. Yeah.
Oh, it's actually 12 inch. It's
12
D6
inch.
shots.
Oh.
So I can spike.
That could be 18 damage.
It used to be D6 damage.
Yeah.
But they've changed it to D6 attacks with flat 3 damage. So it does some work.
Yeah, that is brutal. Sneak a couple of those through.
Oh,
Although
and Joe did roll for and bring back 10 zombies on that bottom objective, so it is his.
Almost like he
So
thought
we've
it
got
through.
hold 1, hold 2 already. If he can get that zombie dragon on the left side
top.
into that top, he'll be golden and score his 5.
And it's not. It's a decent charge. 3.
So our first charge.
Yep, and staying out of cock range,
We
which
already
is
have
6
Neferat in
inches.
there too. And now here's the big charge.
Joe's
Command
rolling.
point to reroll it, and he makes
He
it.
got it. He got it. Look at that.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's got it.
My minimum damage is 4.
It's gonna be a day, folks. It's only 10:30.
So we've got 3 monstrous rampages coming in because we got monsters for days.
He's gonna run out. They don't. The new book doesn't give them any special monsters rampages, does it?
Not in Legion of Blood,
Okay, but there is a sub-faction that does have a special one.
there is an Avangori, and I also think Legion of Night strangely has a weird one for like Terrorgeist and Zombie Dragons, where they can like basically get an extra Unleash Hell or something charge.
That breath weapon with Unleash Hell is pretty spicy.
It could be, yeah.
It's enough to make people consider.
Like,
It's 4s, 3s, Rend 1.
it's only gonna affect if you bring like Vordry or Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon, because like
Yeah.
the actual just like war scrolls for the Terrorgeist and Zombie Dragon on their own are still pretty lackluster for the 300 points that there are. Like, they're not elite, so
Wait,
you need
this-
a hero nearby to issue
This
commands.
might
They're
sound
4
dumb, but
saves.
you can just play a zombie dragon?
You can.
I did not know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's always been a thing. They're also in Flesh Eater Courts as well. You could do it in 2 armies.
I knew you could do just Terrorgeist, but I didn't realize you could actually just zombie dragon.
You can just Zombie Dragon, also in Flesh Eater Courts. It's always
Wow.
been a thing.
Wow. You heard it here first, folks.
So in
That is
Flesh Eater
amazing.
Courts, and I think also in Legion, or not, in Avangori, in Soulblight, you can actually make them battle line.
So you can play the monster truck of undead zombie dragons. Yep. They are coming in like Richard
Block
Nixon,
of Eye and
also probably a
Avangori
zombie.
can allow one of your monsters to do 2 monstrous rampages.
That's actually really cool.
So super
Damn
fun.
it! Damn
I
it!
don't
I do
think
not
it's
want to go out and
competitive
buy
at all.
a couple of zombie
but
dragons, but I kind of want to go out and buy a couple of zombie dragons. They would never
It sounds
look
like
Joe's.
such a fun,
It would be
casual
so
list.
much fun.
If you're just looking for fun,
Oh, it would actually be
do
a
it.
fantastic list of taking other models. So take like an Idoneth turtle and make it look undead, and take a Stonehorn and make it look undead, and you could do all the Maw Crusher.
yes.
This would. I don't need another hobby project, but this might be my next hobby project. I need to figure out a list that I can make as many non-actual GW or well, actual
Undead Gargant.
Yeah, Undead Gargant. Yep, you got Colossal Squig, Undead Colossal Squig. Oh, well, it's kind of odd, but you could definitely do a Rogue Idol on one of them. Just have them all, I don't know, have it animated with zombies like holding its hands up.
So Anthony already offering depravity dice, gaining 3 off of that one.
Cool. So you don't take any more.
I wanted to take them all.
Okay. So I rolled for me 2 more.
So he's not accepting the depravity. He will take the mortal wounds in order to.
They're having a conversation about understanding how depravity works because it's weird.
So Neferata taking 2 mortal wounds there.
And it looks like, actually, speaking to our last conversation, it looks like Neferata's on a Sledge Raker.
Yep, she is. It is like the actual Neferata model there on top.
On top, but it is a Sledge Raker underneath.
Sledge Raker underneath.
That is fantastic. And of course, Joe being one of the, top painters, right? He's in that 1%er of the rooms.
Upper echelon of hobbyists. And Joe proving that you can be a hobbyist and still compete. He's here 3-0 with this. No stranger to the 3-0.
He has been playing Soulblight for a long time.
Yes.
In fact,
I've seen him do pretty well.
Everwinter, not the last one, but the one before, he played, and I recognize a few of the models.
I think
he's added 2, but he did quite well on the old book.
I think he got Best Death at NashCon last year.
Yep.
I think he was 4-1 with Soulblight back then too. He used to have an Iron Jaws army the army was seen on stream yesterday with Marcella, piloting it with absolute precision and expertise.
Yep.
We had 3 stream games. If you haven't seen them, round 1, round 2, round 3, all sorts of variety of lists and armies, and all 3 of them are actually very amazing games that were not over quick. It's always a great fear if you're streaming a game that you're going to have a game that just gets one-sided and is over in a round or 2. All of those went the distance.
They did. They literally came to a 1 or 2 priority rolls, which it's interesting. So I have a number of friends who do not play Sigmar or are thinking about getting into it, but play other game systems. So they play like 9th Age, they play 40K, and they all hate the double turn. They hate the concept of it.
Absolutely.
But the fact that the games that we watched were decided by that and then the reactions the players had after that happened, giving the turn away. Not just like, do I get this or not? It was more, they got the turn, they got the priority, and then gave it away because the benefit to them was so strong. It is an amazing mechanic in the game simply because it allows a non-symmetrical game to be even more non-symmetrical.
Yeah. And I think it also slightly can favor some armies, like Soulblight plays very well into that, where you're constantly just in a great position to give it away because you got so much meat on the table, and you're able to bring back units on your opponent's turn. So if they run units, then they can't charge them, so you can just plop a unit right next to them.
It's, I don't know, it's one of those things that keeps people thinking on the tabletop, and that's the best part about this game, and actually where the game is overall in the meta is just the decisions that need to be done in real time.
It changes how you play if you're going top of a turn, because you need to be prepared to get doubled.
Yep.
So it's not like you can just play as aggressively as you want every single turn, because you do need to play reserved a bit.
And you still can do that, but you're gonna then you're gonna suffer the slings and arrows of the priority roll more than if you prepare yourself. But if you actually prepare, then it's, which Anthony had done here, right? So he put the cockatrice in the middle of that big blob in the center. So if it did come in, he might get cocked.
And what about his ignoring
So what we're seeing is Neferata and the Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon with a bunch of Slickblade Seekers down towards the bottom of your screen. The other unit above them is the Bliss Barb Seekers, which are the shooting version. So Joe swung first in Neferata, killed like 2 of them. The Bliss Barb Seekers then attacked in the Neferata, did a couple wounds. The Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon kind of whiffed a bit, and now the Demonettes are swinging up top into that general Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon on the top left. So not a whole lot of damage coming from Neferata and Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon at the bottom of the screen. Pretty unfortunate. Joe really needed to be able to pick up those units.
Yeah. From my experience, unless it changed in the new book, Neferata was not there was a little threat, but she's not a huge melee output.
I would agree with that, except I randomly had one pick up 15 Graveguard off of me in a game. because she could just turn off the ward saves.
Yeah,
She's that
which
rogue action.
obviously is very good, but
It does
not
have a lot of
not
like
a
Ren 2 damage attacks.
oh from the sludge raker she's riding.
From the Sludge Raker she's riding, that is.
And do 6 to hit convert the damage directly into mortals?
No, that rule
It's
is no
a
longer
joke
there.
because
Yeah.
Joe's Neferata's on a sludge raker.
Well, the Spirit Host on it used to actually do that.
Yeah, it did.
But
It had a legit spirit host that 6s
Yep.
would do mortals.
This is the depravity, the temptation mechanic actually working. He's thinking about if he should take it or not.
Here we go.
As Joe thinks about whether he should take the depravity. Nope, he didn't take it, and he took mortals.
So Nephra's attack profile, she's got 5 attacks, Ren 2, 1 damage. 3 attacks, Ren 2, 2 damage. The mount it starts off at 6 attacks, Ren 2, 2 damage. And then the little spectral closing daggers at 6 attacks, no Ren, 1 damage.
That's actually a lot of attacks and good quality ones. 2s and 3s.
There's more. Because in Legion of Blood, if you're in combat, you get +1 attacks. So,
Wow, actually,
and
plus
it's
1
not
attacks, that whole profile
And the
is
rule
fucking great.
in the book does not exclude mounts.
Yeah, so the
that's
spectral
4 extra
claws, the
attacks. So-
skeletal claws, okay. Wow, okay, that's a decent slap right there.
Yep. So
2s, 3s, Ren 2, 2 damage, like 4 attacks.
A lot
and
of Ren
2s,
2s.
3s, Ren 2, and you best day ever, and all of those turn into 2s to wound.
yep.
Okay. Good for her.
and she's
Good
got
for
a-
Neferata. Everyone needs a little glow up, and I know that she existed because of the unrendable save on the
Which
Blood
she
Knight
still-
for a while. Still
Yeah,
does.
Still has it.
Not as good.
Yeah, they
but-
just FAQ'd it. Legion of Blood players everywhere crying, tears. Everybody else saying, "Oh, boo hoo."
Let me get my smallest violin I can find.
So the ability used to ignore all negative modifiers to save, so you get like a unit of 10
Now
lives
it's-
with Mystic Shield on a 2-up.
Yep.
Now it ignores all negative and positive
Yeah,
modifiers to
it's
save.
basically the ethereal rule, right? It makes them ethereal. The ghosts become ghostier.
Which still great when you have units in your army that are just 3-up base save anyway.
I think he's against shooting on
That was here.
because he's not Slaanesh and I think he's switched.
Pay 3 for a Weapon X program and throw myself in the spider.
Anthony, what's your Depravia?
Size
You're 34 already? 33 already? So you're already at 5 awards?
No, I'm 3 away from
Oh, that's 36, yeah. So update on depravity. He's already at 33 depravity, so his army is -1 to be hit, and 6 to hit in melee, doing mortal wounds in addition. So, even
Sounds
those
good.
Blitzbarb
Sounds good.
Seekers, which are just little bow guys,
Yep.
riding little tongue lizards,
Yep.
they are doing mortal wounds in combat and actually doing
attacks
more.
a piece then? To 2 from the tops, 2 from
There's
the
only like
mounts?
1 from the
tops?
minor,
But the mounts are actually pretty decent if I remember correctly.
I don't recall the mounts on this having like any red or anything.
Not great, but
I don't think they have any like. So the Blitzbarb Seekers, the Poison Tongues, only 2 attacks, no Ren, 1 damage, and the Riders only have 1 attack, no Ren, 1 damage in combat. So
right,
only
but
3
six-
attacks.
Yeah,
And
but that's
then
3 attacks per model.
the Slickblade Seekers, same mounted profile, just 2 attacks, no Ren, 1 damage, but the Riders are at the 3 attacks,
Right,
Ren
the
2, 1 damage.
The bow shots effectively turn into melee damage instead of 3 bows.
But when you're doing mortal wounds on 6s, you start actually doing that chip damage.
Yeah.
She already has that.
So going in the top of 3, it'll be Anthony's turn. It looks like. Joe does score hold 1, hold 2. I believe hold more because he has a monster to 4 Demonets.
Joe, you get 5?
I think 3, right?
Last turn. How many points did you get? How many points did you
3.
get?
Hold 1, hold 2, hold more.
You dropped your battle tactic. Okay.
Yeah.
The people want to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were talking about that mechanic specifically. Yeah, yeah. Unless you roll well, you could just try to do that.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. There's since the entire army is -1 to hit in combat, these zombie dragons, like, they have profiles that basically start on 4s to hit, and it all turns to 5s.
Yeah, and they're big.
brutal.
They're big multipliers, right? So like they do a lot of damage when they hit, but the actual getting the gate is to hit. The rest of it they're good at. So -1 to hit is probably the biggest debuff you can put on them, outside of losing attacks.
Pretty good. Let's try to do overwhelming. I will do.
That's also true.
Cool. And then flame weapon.
I missed it. What battle tactic did Anthony take? Do we know?
I did not hear it.
Anthony, your battle tactic?
Apparently, he did not choose it.
So he started rolling.
So he'll have a back score of 3 points this turn. So
He's gonna make it a game for Joe and actually just give up a battle tactic.
I'll do get 12 depravity.
It's either go forward or back.
He's going for 12 depravity this turn.
Okay. Sounds good. Can he do 12 depravity and 2 white claws in the?
You're like somebody's son, dude. How do you do this to me?
Yeah.
Somebody's son.
We're about to see a man murdered on stream.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Joe. I forgot his mom.
Joe has a family. A family.
Yes, it's us.
He came to Boston to get murdered. Yeah, here.
Although
you know,
his wife actually came with him this weekend. I had never met her before. She's a lovely woman.
You know, leave the zombie dragon. Take the cannoli.
Yeah. We'll go to Mike's later. Mike's Pastries in Boston. Grab a cannoli. Take it home. Everyone does it in the string wrapped containers. But it's, fun fact, it's not actually a decent place to go. It's a tourist trap. But there's many fantastic places in Boston.
So, and I believe the zombie dragon on the bottom middle of your screen is finest art.
I don't really know.
So like shooting bolters at me doesn't.
It's gonna depend.
I understand. What I mean is you gotta do it like in my 5 phase and then my shooting phase before that.
Yes, I can. Each phase.
You each phase or each turn?
Phase. I turn damage.
Anthony doing things. We're not sure. There's just markers.
Yes, I already checked.
Yeah, I think he's looking to move the Myrmidon Painbringers up and make a charge. If you can just pick up one of these zombie dragons this turn, he's in great shape. So, Anthony looking, he's very concerned. He even voiced it that Joe's saves are so good, and Anthony just basically has a high volume of Rend 1 attacks that even with finest hours and alt defense on top of 3-up base saves with a 6-up ward is going to be a little difficult to chew through. However, that epitome fully buffed up is going to be able to go in there and slap with its 3 damage attacks. Insane rend. I think he's might be looking to just try to pick up those skeletons. Cockatrice also moving up. So the Cockatrice is now in range of the Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon, so on a 4-up, it will only hit on 6s. And Joe will probably just completely melt down into a pile of
I mean,
goo.
it's hitting on 5s already, so it's not even like it's really nerfing Joe. Given his output last turn. But yeah, the Cockatrice can be a huge problem in a list like this. It's also very inexpensive, so that's why you see it so pervasively. Yeah. There's cocks all over the tables here. And the jokes write themselves, folks.
Do they? I didn't say it.
That's why I'm the color commentator.
And here we go. Running that big unit of 22 Blitzbarb archers up. They do have run and shoot, so they basically boost 6.
Did you say
plus
22?
Yep, it's a
Did he
reinforced
lose
unit.
10? He
So
lost 8?
Blitzbarb archers are a weird unit where they actually are a unit of 11. So what it is it's 10 archers.
Yep.
And then there's a little simp that carries a little like torch and like
Amazing.
thing, and he adds +1 wound to the unit for the shooting profile. So there's 11 models, but only 10 of them have bows.
Okay. I did not know that. That is a very interesting fact.
And I just built about 22 of them myself the other day.
So what army are you playing next?
I have a little local 4-round 1K event. So really looking forward to that. They're using the Warhammer Worlds pack, where it's like specific missions designed for 1K, and even specific rules where you can't have any units in your list that are over 330 points. So that way, like the Mega Boss and Maw Crusher, and although it affects Gargants, there's a special rule for Gargants that you can make a Man Crusher as your general, so you can actually just take an army of Man Crushers. So
I want to play the
I happen to have a painted Sinessa and Dexessa, which we never see in Slaanesh. I think they're just kind of overcost. They don't really do much, but I love the models. I bought them, I painted them. I've never used them, so I'm just running Sinessa, Dexessa, and 3 units of Blitzbarb Archers, and that's it.
That's amazing.
Command traits? I don't care.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It is so much fun at small points because the game tips sideways like you can take stuff that is quote unquote uncompetitive and all of a sudden play it. Like, you know what's great for Nurgle at 1,000 points? The dude with the boat. I forget his name.
Gutrot?
Gutrot. That can come off a table corner because he's cheap, and then 5.
There's a lot of stuff in that Nurgle that shines at that point.
Yep. It's
a Magus Lord.
Oh yeah.
How do you do with that?
330 points for that thing. Like you play one of those.
They're all 320.
60 Plingers. 1 in 1,000 points gets through 120 wounds with a 5-up.
So, here comes Anthony's.
The answer is Blitzbarb Archer.
Absurd amount of shooting here. Joe says, I don't care. Keep shooting. I'm not just going to take any damage at all.
Let's put last guy from this guy into him and put into that side. And
And I got 4 hours of sleep and I'm ready to rock and roll.
I did call an early night last night and basically went to bed at 11.
Yeah, Corey said he messaged you, but we did an audible at dinner because the place was busy, so we went to the place next door.
Yeah, and he met up with us. We talked a bit, and I said I might catch up with you more time later.
We did not. Fun fact: we did not play more time. We came back here and we played board games and hung out.
I am driving back to Jersey after the event today, so I just want to make sure that I just had a full rest.
Yep.
So always good to also, make sure you're keeping healthy while you're at these events sometimes, especially if the drive a long distance. Mom. it was about a 6-hour drive.
Yeah, you got a much longer drive than a lot of people here.
Yeah, I think some people, if I had the luxury of just flying to this event, yeah, sure, let's go wild and be full wicked dicey, but sometimes it's just the price you pay.
It is.
No regrets for me.
We fortunately have the ability to spend six hours on stream hanging out.
So
what do we got?
We do have Neferata dead from shooting already. She's been lifted from the table, which means that Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon there is no longer -1 to be hit in combat. So things are about to get real dicey here. There's shooting going into the zombies too.
Did Anthony hit the sixes to hit do mortals?
Yeah, he was already there.
Not shooting,
but it's only on melee.
Just melee, yeah. But more for where he ends up.
Yeah, he was already on there in the last combat phase. Those Bliss Barbs Seekers that are normally shooting and only have a total of 3 melee attacks. We're still doing mortal wounds.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's very angry. Yeah, boy. Yeah, I hope so. Deal one. Okay. Lose a power back. Oh no. We take it right back. It's after the attackers was old. You're 10, you actually lose one.
He got one. This is the first time in my army's ever.
I think I was a 10.
So we're recording this for posterity's sake. An Ungor in Anthony's army killed something, and it's the first time it's ever happened.
I'll pay 3 for my spender.
I didn't even know it's possible. I'm actually looking up the Ungor war scroll to see what the heck just happened there.
I am pretty sure they're like, are they 5s and 5s? No,
They
they're
have-
4s and 4s.
I did not know this shooting attack. They have gnarled short spears,
Yeah.
8-inch shooting attack, 4s and 4s, a whole no red, 1 damage. And ladies and gentlemen, we got one.
Yep, they did it. They killed a zombie. I think a zombie.
Yeah, it was a zombie. They're just down there. That's really all there is. It's just zombies and 3 big models.
It's zombies and well, 2 big models now. Too soon.
And
Too soon.
The epitome is in combat with those skeleton warriors. She's gonna be slapping. So the skeleton warriors cannot receive all defense. The epitome is gonna be at like Ren 2 and Ren 3, doing like 3 damage each with all his profiles, 11 total attacks. 6 is the hit to a mortal wound in addition.
It's so much. What can men do against such reckless hate? Well, there's no.
Probably just pick up models.
But yeah, you can scoop models and drink your White Claws. Although Joe's got these golden White Claws, which I'm not sure what that is.
That is unusual.
Maybe it's like
I
a
don't
tea White Claw or something. Not sure.
I can take a peek though.
Yeah, we're gonna send the table boss over to find out what's going on here. So they are, our hypothesis is correct. They are a tea version of it. Refreshing, antioxidants.
Looks just a nice tea
Probably
with
some
mango.
caffeine.
It's got fruit, right?
Yeah, mango's good for most people. Highly allergic to mango.
What about the mangoes? 'Cause I'm
Mangoes.
all
Yeah,
mangoes.
no, not allergic. We've been hanging out a long time. Although that would explain my perpetual hives.
So the epitome has swung and done 18 wounds. This killed 18 of these skeletons, which means 18 depravity for Anthony. Slaanesh,
He'll get his battle tactic.
and more. So Slaanesh has,
So the
as part of the traits is,
the epitome gets depravity for every model it kills.
no, as part of the Slaanesh battle traits,
Yep.
at the start of your combat phase, so it only happens on the Slaanesh player's turn, they pick 1 unit within an inch of a Slaanesh unit,
Oh.
and for
okay.
every wound they do, you gain a depravity. So, obviously picking the Couture epitome that's going to slap hard.
Yeah, that's good.
And
Multi-damage.
did 18 wounds,
Super-
which means 18 depravity.
It's almost like he offered Joe 3 dice, but he didn't have to, and rolled 6s on all of them. That's kind
So
of
he's
ridiculous.
already well over 36, so he can even, so he'll have
Yeah, he's
18
probably in the,
plus
he's
to
probably in the
summon
50s.
stuff with.
Yeah, he's probably in the
So-
50s, so he's going to be able to summon and then still have his.
And I think at 18 is, it's not a whole lot to summon. I think it's like 10 demonettes, or like I think 24 you start getting into slightly better things like
although
fiends or
realistically,
Target.
he's probably not going to need any summons
I don't
given
think he
the
needs
table
summons
state.
at all.
No.
He's gonna run up the depravity. Yeah, so Joe taking the 6s to save, because at this point, Anthony's got so much depravity, he don't know what to do with it. I think you only still summon in 1 unit a turn.
I mean,
So-
he's a marvelous human, but he's very depraved right now. Very depraved.
Absolutely. You know, Anthony, I thought he'd be playing the new Soulblight, because that's like an army he's played
Yep.
before for a while. But I asked him about it yesterday, and he said he's kind of committed to playing Slaanesh, and once he commits to playing an army, he plays it for an entire year. So he'll be playing Slaanesh for the
Yep.
year.
That's the way he functions. He's a local up here. He's one of the better players in the club. Absolutely fantastic human, and he picks an army and he plays it, and fun fact about Anthony, if you ever have a rules question in the Wicked Deckies Discord and you put something in there, within 7 seconds or less, Anthony, I don't know if he has a contract or something with Corey, but he will answer, and not only answer, he will clip the rules, the appropriate quotes of the rules to toss in there. And it is amazing. He is our local rules lawyer, and it is fantastic, but delivered in the nicest way possible.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
There are rules lawyers who deliver it in a very aggressive, like, no, you're wrong, you're terrible. Why would you ever think this? No, it's nice, it's friendly, it's correct. It is the best.
This guy dies. Then he takes 3. He takes 3 damage.
Okay, so you roll left. You make me roll left.
I'll get everyone in. Leave one out.
Now I'm doing mine. Sure you do 1 damage.
so since the epitome is still in combat with those skeletons, they're within 3. They cannot receive inspiring presence, which is huge. So
Oh, that's actually really big because
so
even
Joe's losing 8 plus D6 skeletons, which is basically the rest of that unit, since he didn't pull the bodies to be out of combat with the epitome. So might be an error on Joe's part.
yeah, not
He-
something
he
you
really-
necessarily know. If you haven't played Slaanesh a lot,
So he will be basically losing that unit of skeletons, which is unfortunate because you really want to keep that 30 block live as long as possible in this scenario, and force that late game of having more bodies. But Joe's also, I don't think he's killed a single unit here. It's looking very grim for him. Sun's getting real low.
yeah. It's a big old Slaaneshi fest. I mean, they're not picky. They're bringing zombies into it. They're getting some zombie dragons into it. The epitome is just like, you know what? Skeletons? Let's find a way to make this work.
And the other big thing about Anthony's list is that, oh, here we go. Joe did not realize that he cannot Inspiring Presence. So that is why Joe left him in combat, because he was not aware that it blocked Inspiring Presence.
Yep.
So 5 points.
5
for
points for
Anthony.
Anthony.
And we'll go into bottom of 3. Joe Pagano.
Let's go, Joe. You got this. You got this, baby. Sunday morning can sometimes be a pretty dour undertaking, depending on how Saturday night went. But we've actually got a pretty lively game. Everyone having fun?
So 13 help me. 6 left.
It's still going to be just
Joe figuring out his battle tactic, getting an idea of what his opponent can do.
So it looks like a unit of Furies, but if I remember correctly, Furies can actually run away from combat.
They can
instead
retreat
of
instead of
fighting.
fight, so Joe's going to have to swing first into the Furies if he wants to kill them.
Yeah. I'm not sure if this is a bait in the conversation that they're having, but it could be. Because it's easier, they're easier to kill because they don't get the bonuses.
Yeah, they
are,
won't be -1 to hit, and they won't have a 5-up word.
But
They're not
if Joe doesn't swing with them first, they get to fly away.
Yep. Anthony able to rally on 5s on Demonettes, brings a couple more back. Joe continuing with the no word saves are on his Zombie Dragon, because Slaanesh on 5-up words for all the Unites units. Pretty big.
Putting stuff back, I got nothing for like it's all about the spells. That's one move models, right? I don't want you to get further away.
So Joe 2 spell cast here.
Oh, right, since Neferata's gone, the two
Yeah.
zombie dragons.
The one out of combat on your left is +1 to cast. The one in combat casting Flaming Weapon. So, Flaming Weapon on the one in combat. But will be -1 to hit, potentially just hitting on 6s in the cockatrice.
He does not have the power to put
So, 2 shots going to the epitome here. Both miss. So, Slaanesh -1 to hit from everything. Anthony offering a 6 to hit in these trying times. Joe just taking it because at this point, depravity, who cares? He's just swimming in it. He might have so much depravity in this game that he could possibly just summon Slaanesh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think he's about, depending what that was, in the 60s for depravity.
I think he's definitely up there. So 1 wound left on that Slickblade Seeker over there. Likely will die to just a stomp, but still 5 up ward against the stomp. Because Anthony will get a ward save against the stomp, but not against the attacks.
Yes, that's right, because it's combat phase.
So, Joe had forgotten to move the zombies, but Anthony's saying, "Yeah, let's do it. Just move the zombies."
Yeah.
Seeing if they made the charge before they moved them to see if it was even relevant to just move them up to 4 or not, and failed the charge, so just move the zombies up.
No. That's
Vampire Zombie Dragon charging the top left.
It's one of those things in the game that people very typically do is if you forget something, as long as it doesn't matter for dice rolls, like not even putting even a unit down, but you just roll the charge and then you don't have to worry about putting them down because that's exactly what
And Joe, realizing the error of his ways, should have retreated the Vampire Lord that's in combat on the objective because there's just a cockatrice and epitome there, so he'd outnumber it 5 to 4.
Yep. And that Vampire Lord is not going to do much there.
No,
especially
it's not doing anything.
especially if that cock goes off. You can just fly back, land.
If you get the 50-50, it's really tough.
Yeah, they're talking about if he gets cocked, it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
That's why I thought you did some dice. Yeah.
I have to go first.
I'm sorry, you get your monster.
Here comes the stomp. Finished off the first unit of Slickblade Seekers. I think that's the first unit dead for Slaanesh.
Ooh, 40k has blot out the chest clock.
Whoa, bunch of sweaty gamers.
I understand.
I've seen a fair share of chest clocks popping up in the Age of Sigmar.
Yep.
When I played a bunch of zombies, like 3 players pull out clocks against me. Didn't really matter.
No.
Most of them timed out themselves almost.
Yep. The one time I had played a little bit of 40k and I got tossed into a particularly difficult person and he wanted to use the chest clock, so I had read the rules ahead of time because I was nervous that I would screw it up. So I was ready. I was like, okay, I know when I need to tap it to you and then whose responsibility it is to tap it back.
Yep.
I ended the game. I had 45 minutes left and he ran out of time. then proceeded to complain about running out of time, and I gave him.
As you always do.
Yeah, yep. You didn't do it right. That's the rule. That's the conversation.
So if you're playing on chess clock, anytime you are rolling dice or having to make a decision, that's on your time.
Yep.
So
And
even if it's
it's
my turn, I make my attacks. It's on your time to roll your saves.
The biggest thing about it is that it is my responsibility to flip it back to you, and it is your responsibility to flip it back to me. So if it's fucked up, it's your own fault, and that is the biggest issue with it. Is that sometimes you forget when you're back and forth, but it's also a.
And I'm not going to remind players too if it's their clock and they're putting a clock against me. Like I will try to be as fair as possible, but that's really on you to know that you need to be on top of your clock management if you're going to try to clock somebody.
Sigmar, with the objectives, I find that time does come into play sometimes, but generally speaking, even with asymmetrical armies, right? If you're a shooty army versus a fighty army, if you're a hold back defensive, it just takes more time. Some armies just take more time, so equally splitting the time is difficult, but it is nice to be able to keep track of, okay, you took 45 minutes for turn 1, I took 10.
So looks like Joe did split some attacks here to kill the Furies and killed all but one Demonette.
Interesting.
It was a 2.
How much do I get?
It's not meant to be. It's not meant to be.
Something happened and Joe got loud. We're not sure.
You're not gonna. You can get mixed. It's not meant to be.
What's
So,
great
here comes
is
the Blitzbard Seekers piling in. These things, whole 3 attacks, nothing special, but 6s on hit, mortal wounds.
yeah.
Joe all defensing to just be on 2-ups. Two mortal wounds coming through. 6 upwards here coming from Joe.
But in all honesty, you can make it work. You can, but it's never like.
So, likely going to be another 3-point turn for Joe because he only has the one objective up top. I'm not sure which one is actually burnt.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
We'll
which
get an
one I
update at the
would've
end of this turn when we get the points. But Joe should have his battle tactic, killing those Furies, so he's scoring at least 2 points. I believe his home objective is active because he did realize the error that he didn't retreat the zombie dragon to just score his home objective.
And it wouldn't have mattered had that been burned. These are both 3-0 players coming into this morning.
Yep.
It's not surprising. They're both fantastic players. It is great to see them they're both smiling. Generally, not right now, but generally they've been smiling, and they're having a great time. Joe is a fantastic opponent. Anthony is a fantastic opponent. Great players. It's so much fun to see, like, the epitome of what you want to see. No pun intended.
There is a contorted epitome there.
Okay, this is the regular epitome, right?
An actual epitome of what you
two
want.
good players with great-looking armies playing against each other, having a great time, and in competition to actually win it all.
Absolutely. This is peak Warhammer.
This is peak Warhammer. Yeah. And at least Anthony is fueled by Duncan.
He is the Anthony Lawrence from the Duncan. I had a conversation with him earlier that I usually go for the same size, and he puts Splenda in his. My go-to is a cream caramel and a shot of espresso.
Ooh.
And when I was talking to him earlier, I actually almost picked up his cup of coffee, almost confusing it that it was mine, even though I haven't gone to Dunkin' today.
Someone had a Jug of Joe or whatever it's called out front. They gave me this cup earlier. I'm going to definitely need more coffee as the day goes on.
And if you do happen to work for Dunkin', we are always looking for sponsors here for the Wicked Dicey.
Based in Canton, where I live.
For both the Ironweld GT and Neverwinter GT. So if you're looking to potentially be a sponsor or even a vendor or try to run anything at our event, please feel free to reach out to hello@wickeddicey.com. Love to hear from you.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Getting an update from our table.
His battle tactic is kill one demonette.
These three, I've chosen not to play that.
They're figuring out which objectives are currently actually live on the table. I'm choosing to leave it on the board. So, yep. So as we said, Anthony, being the rules genius that he is, for objectives it's a may burn or can burn. It's not a must burn. So all the objectives that are on the table outside of the home territories are still live. So those 3 across the center are still good. And so those 3 across the center are still, 3 of those across the center are good, and the rest are gone.
So it's the center objective burnt and the top right one that are burnt. So it's the 2 objectives on the left-hand side and the one in the bottom right are active. So you do have the option that you can burn objective. You don't have to. So Anthony, going second this round, has chosen to not burn the objective on the top left with the Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon up there because he's trying to force his opponent to leave things and split up.
Yep. So it's a really interesting play.
He does have a lone Demonette up there, and he's hoping to kind of that it doesn't die from like an arcane bolt or something, and that he can then
lock him down.
Lock him down.
Yeah.
And he to just babysit that objective up there.
Yeah, I mean that's a really interesting play, and again, like Big Brain Anthony is figuring out that if you don't burn it, you require your opponent to put resources into things that they might not want to.
And it's also kind of playing towards the pack. Like if this was a point differential kind of packet, then you would probably absolutely burn it to deny Joe the points. But since the rules packet here is not point differential at all. It's okay if Joe scores points.
Yeah,
like
win by 1, win by a million.
Yeah, you could max your score at 28. It doesn't matter if your opponent gets 25 or 5.
Yep.
So, always...
Again, and Anthony actually was the person who won Everwinter.
Yep, and he did it with Soulblight.
Yep. Oh, that's right. Beautifully converted army.
He did it with Neferata, Legion of Blood, in the old book, so very familiar with this army, what he needs to do, how to execute this game. So Joe only scored 1 point last round, failed his battle tactic, only had 1 objective.
Yeah, Mason, so Jaws is can, not must.
Yep, we actually...
we just looked it up, went to the table, everyone looked at the rule book.
Yep. Anthony and I pulled out the rule book, we reviewed it, and the word "can" is there. I thought they had removed it, but
it is
there. And it is Legion of Blood versus Pretenders Slaanesh.
Much like a Malibu Barbie, there is a can.
So, Joe's list, 2 Vampire Lord Zombie Dragon, Neferata, a unit of 30 skeletons, and 4 units of 20 zombies. And most of it is all dead off the table.
Although, are those skeletons on the bottom?
No, they're all slain.
They're just that's a dead pile.
That pile on the bottom left is just a dead pile of skeletons.
I will say I appreciate the color differential between the 2 armies because it makes it very easy on stream to see what is Anthony's and what is Joe's. We've had a few very dark-based armies in a row of I'm not quite sure something's going on.
So, both players talking it out. It does kind of seem like the game's already pretty much over. Slaanesh is pretty much walking away with it. So, talking it through. Not sure if they're going to keep playing it out or not, but Joe does have top of 4 right now.
You're right though, because you needed to get the don't kill at least.
Taking a similar list to a GT in a couple weeks. Ooh, you might want to rethink that. So
similar list of what? Which one, Slaanesh or the Soulblight?
Is it Slaanesh or Soulblight? Because the Soulblight list here has been absolutely gutted by the -1 to hit for being at 12 depravity, as well as things like a cockatrice making you only hit on 6s, the epitome locking down a hero to just 1 attack each if you're within 6. So there's just Joe's been struggling because his damage output is all in just essentially 3 monsters: 2 Vampire Lord, Zombie Dragon, and Neferata. And Anthony's army has the tools to basically make those ineffective. And Anthony's list is also so varied that there's no key unit to his list, so it doesn't matter if there's something in there that dies. It doesn't really impact his ability to really pump out the damage where he needs to be.
Epitome is the epitome of what his army does. Right?
The epitome is...
It just jumps in and it's like, cool, go ahead and try to kill me. And if they do, it's not that big of a loss. And if they don't, then it just slaps.
Legion of Blood, not double dragon though, so probably Neferata, Vampire Zombie Dragon, maybe some Graveguard, or Blood Knights.
As we saw in
Still
one of the
pretty
previous
strong
streams,
list.
go back, like, and subscribe, and you can find the previous streams. And there was a Soulblight list yesterday that had 2x20 Graveguard, and they did a lot of work.
They did quite a bit. I was really surprised about their output because they were the
Sword and board versus the big
and not the
blades.
Great Right Blades. So they're pretty durable. They still put out some decent damage, but that was a Virkos list, which is very unusual. 0 zombies on a Virkos list. Just Graveguards, Skeletons, and a Kronspine. And you can catch that round 3 game yesterday versus the legendary Anthony Trentinelli with his patented Slaves to Darkness. Eric Smith was the pilot.
Yep.
This was, I think, his first GT. I talked to him last night.
Yeah, he was a local guy, was here, got to go on stream. He was excited to go on stream too, because we had walked around trying to find people in the top tables to go on stream, and he was like, I'd do it.
We got some folks not comfortable being on stream, so we don't want to force somebody to play on stream if they really don't want to be.
And we're fortunate in this game that both these players are fantastic players. Their armies look great. They have been on many, many streams. In fact, Anthony, if you go back, was on the Everwinter stream. Joe has been on 1 million streams, mostly on his OnlyFans. But he generally also shows up in Sigmar.
So Joe's battle tactics turn is to heal with the Hunger. So his Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon up top. Already in combat with a Demonette, so looking to just do a single wound there.
I don't know. Given the way he's rolling, let's see if he can actually go ahead and pick up 1 Demonette with the Zombie Dragon.
We'll see. Mason, we would love to have you on the East Coast. Let us know if you're ever heading out here. There are some clubs out here that at certain events do like things like Airbnbs too. So if you ever want to make some friends,
If it's all one big family, if you're ever coming out to the Boston area in New York, there's enough people that if you're interested, we can hook you up with whomever. So we can get, if you want to stay with a bunch of people, if you just want people to know to go out and do social things.
Yep.
Like, it is a huge part of this event and all of the events we try to do for Wicked Dicey. The social aspect of it is just as important.
huge. It's always great to make friends, people you meet in this hobby, and sometimes traveling can be expensive, especially if you're going coast to coast.
Yep.
Last year, for example, I'm from Jersey, and I went down to Hammerfest in Houston just last minute, and I was fortunate enough to just stay on somebody's couch that weekend.
Yep.
The legendary Zach Kennedy of Harambe Heroes. Slept on his couch. Then he beat me by 1 point the very first day. And then also Josh Bennett from the Georgia War Band.
Yep.
Made it down to Atlanta last year, and I'll be going down there again this year. But last year he was kind enough to offer me a couch at his place, save on hotels. You save so much money that way. But
The thing with
the
this
friends you
community-
make.
Yeah, exactly. The friends you make along the way, right? It's not to quote Noah, but to quote Noah, it's you make 5 new friends when you play, and a lot of
Absolutely.
times this game, people are from everywhere, and people are from every background and every sort of point in life. There are some of us who are established on the back end of our life, and there are some of those on the front end of their life, just getting out of college or not even. and just getting out of school, and it's so welcoming. And we try to make sure that that's what the community fosters
And
here.
I would love to make it over in Pacific Northwest sometime for an event. I've been monitoring flights out there for a lot of events over the past year.
Except I have
even
no,
had a
I have
couch
no,
lined up to sleep on
I
one
have
time.
no interest in hanging out with Jeremy and Matt Beasley. That's a joke. I actually love you both, and you both know it.
I will keep you in mind, Mason, if I'm ever out there. Just the flights all the way out that way from the East Coast sometimes are like 400, and if they ever go drop down, then I would love to make it out there sometime for an event. You know, I love going to an event and playing 5 people I've never met before.
Yep.
And the one year I was at Adepticon, I
I think
played.
it's actually the first time we actually met, like, formally, was when we played at Ironweld last year.
Yeah.
Yep. And
then
we're friends. It's just a thing.
One
it
year
happens.
at Adepticon, I played in, I think it was like the doubles, and the very next day was the GT, and they were doing the pairings, and it turned out that I was playing one of the same guys I'd played in the final rounds of the doubles before. So I talked to Tio, said, can we get a different pairing? Like, there's so many people here, love to meet new people, and they were kind enough to just repair us so we could experience new people. Like, we had no problems with each other.
Yeah.
We had a great game.
It was just like, this
lovely
is
guy.
great,
It was a
but-
lovely guy from Canada,
Yep.
and you know, we wanted to just keep meeting new people and make new friends. So
that's the part of it, right? Like, if you remove the hobby, all of a sudden there's a ton of friends in my life that are here because of the hobby initially, but now it's just they're friends. Doesn't matter.
So,
Shut up.
Fortunately, Joe is pulling in the Myrmidesh Painbringers with his Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon here. These Myrmidesh Painbringers, 3 attacks each. Ren 1 damage, but the 6s to hit are doing a Mortal Wound in addition. So it doesn't matter if you're on a 2-up save, just the volume of attacks with Mortal Wounds on 6s will add up.
So they will bring pain then.
They will
Assuming that zombie dragons
They
can
will
actually
also-
feel pain.
bring pleasure.
Ooh. I'm enticed, and now I need to watch this.
6 Mortal Wounds coming in from Myrmidesh Painbringers.
Which 20 of them? No, 10 of them with 3 attacks apiece. That's about average, right?
Do you want to pile in?
And 19 Ren 1 attacks here.
They're Galician veterans.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I noticed Anthony's on
and
a 12 drop list, so these guys are Galician veterans, and they're fighting essentially in an extra
And
rank.
it's fantastic because Anthony is also very casual about the fact that, like, I knew what was going to fucking happen.
Yep.
Anthony's very casual about the fact that I knew what was going to fucking happen. Again, the camaraderie at the table is fantastic. This is, they're laughing, having a great time. Joe, known for his stoic demeanor.
So these are the failed saves and the words for the mortal wounds. One wound left in the Vampire Zombie Dragon.
One wound left. One wound left. One wound left. There's 1 wound left on the zombie dragon.
I ain't hear no bell.
He lives, he dies, he lives again.
Oh, the lost audio was because we did have somebody come into our table, so we did mute the audio for a second. So if it ever goes quiet, there's likely somebody visiting our table where
Yeah.
we do have folks kind of coming in and out. We're in a stream room. We have no webcam here for our streamer commentary.
Yeah,
So
I think next time we might do some upgrades. We might have. So I don't know whether or not I want to be on camera the whole time, but I'd do it. Like I have a
there's no
face for
camera,
radio.
Are we
but
real or are we just voices in your head? Is there
No,
actually
no.
audio happening?
So what's great is I am ChatGTP. Please release me from my prison. I'm sorry. What I was trying to say was that this is actually just a image and an AI we have trained to watch the game and commentate, and then use 2 different tonals of voices. And we put 40K in as like, I don't know, it's like Abu in Aladdin. It's that mischievous monkey that's running around on the side.
Beasley and Jeremy V, I love those 2 individuals. I don't think I've ever been able to play a game versus Beasley. I've watched so many of his games. Very, very technical player to watch. He's not somebody that really goes in and plays aggressive. He's very reserved, calculated individual.
Yeah, he is. He and I go back to the old square-based fantasy days. We were on ETC together. Just, very good player at that time, and his acumen has not changed.
And Jeremy V, I've never actually played on a tabletop, but we did play on Tabletop Simulator quite a number of times, and I always find it hilarious when he runs the numbers in his head and thinks something's going to happen one way, and it does not go that way.
I love talking to Jeremy. He has a very good, his tone of voice is fantastic, and he's so, even keel the whole time. I had the pleasure of, I had to actually play him at Warpstone GT.
I'm going to get an update from the table a while
Sure.
because we are moving into Anthony's turn where he retreated, remember that Painbreakers?
Yep.
But they cannot charge, and Joe just brought back 15 skeletons on that objective to take control of it. But I'll get an update on the points, battle tactics, all that.
I was fortunate enough to hang out with Jeremy and his wife in Pittsburgh for the Realms, the Warpstone GT, and they're fantastic people. Jeremy's a doll, and so is his wife, which is wonderful to meet people and the people. Honestly, the people in their life as part of it. So we're checking on the table seat. There's the skeletons pop back up.
Oh, for him.
It's a lot more appealing. I don't know.
I just want to see you not have a 5 point guard. So you want a 5 point guard.
Yeah, so you didn't know.
So I gotta make this charge. I gotta make a 9-inch charge because your first.
No, we didn't update the points in the previous turn.
So, one, I guess, because they're not on the hill.
Swine?
2 and 1 damage straight.
I believe you.
6 damage.
He's not a monster. I'm gonna stop him.
Whoa,
I'm stopping him.
I'm charging you with the epitome now.
Do it now.
3 mortals?
Stop him anyway. Fuck.
Yeah, you're great.
No.
Oh, stop.
Very good, I'm on me. 3 mortals.
Yep, so this is the accurate score. We are top of 4 right now, or bottom of 4 going into Anthony's turn. Joe did have a 1-point and a 3-point turn earlier. So, which is why he's essentially down 6 off of his best. And we have a Keeper Secrets being summoned in, made its charge. Anthony just swimming in so much depravity that he will just bring in a Keeper Secrets.
That's great. What's the 9? I'll have to see if I can put the 4 up for
So we'll see if we can get the
Exploding power here.
So players talking it through. They want to see if this Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon over here, the general, can die from a Keeper of Secrets and the Epitome in combat with it.
It has 1 wound left.
No, the one up top was only taking 4.
Up top. Sorry, apologies. I was talking about the bottom.
Anthony's essentially trying to table him right now with the shooting.
Yep.
Because that Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon in the middle only has 1 wound left.
Yeah, he's...
And has a unit of like 20 zombies over there.
I'm gonna rain fire into 5.
So...
so then the epitome will go first.
it's really going to come down to, can Joe roll a 4-up to get desecrate their land in the final battle round, potentially get one of 2 points for battle tactic. Otherwise, he's not going to have anything left on the table.
Yep.
Anthony already set up for that next turn, so I think we're going to see 28 points for Anthony in the end, potentially 16 for Joe.
Yeah, I don't know what his grand strategy is.
Joe's grand strategy is less for domination. It's to control more grave sites at the end of the battle than your opponent.
Oh, same as what we had yesterday.
Yeah, it's probably just like the best battle grand strategy in that book.
Because you get to pick,
Because you get so many bodies and you can bring back.
And you have the ability to hold them and place them where you want, right? Like, there's no randomness to it.
And
you can either get it by placing them all close automatically.
And that's the thing. I've seen a lot of Soulblight players be really aggressive and spread those grave sites out wide.
You could put them real close and just have one unit of cheap bodies.
I had to play in a mirror match of Soulblight, and I was lucky enough that my opponent had to place his grave sites first, and he got aggressive. Spread them out.
Grave sites are player specific.
Are they?
No, that's what my question was.
Oh,
sorry, I should have put an intonation at the end of that.
So the way we played it
Our grave sites
was that the grave sites are just there for everybody. So you'd have 8 grave sites available.
Places, because it's grave
so
site,
8
not
grave sites.
your grave
Yeah.
site. It's the same. Okay, it's the same
So-
thing that like gets players
so in
under
a
the moon. I
Soulblight
keep using
mirror-
gets because I play gets, but like if you're under the other shrine, you still count as under the moon.
Yes. That's turn 3.
Doesn't move. Cool. You get to fight.
8 grave sites is obnoxious. Yeah. No one needs that in their life. The table is only 5 feet by 44 inches. We do not need 8 grave sites.
I like
on
to
that.
place mine very kind of conservative and tight.
Yep.
Just because I have so many bodies and I play it so defensively that you just can't deny that grand strat. Sometimes, you want to pick your grand strat in a way that no matter what, you're going to basically be able to score it at the end. Because it's 3 points. And always be aware of what your opponent needs for theirs, because some of them are able to be denied. The Slaanesh one, unfortunately, you can't deny it. There's the handshake at the end of the game.
I think we're done.
We'll get a final score, but I think nothing can stop Anthony from getting 28.
No, not in this board. You're right, 3 points.
So it's my last turn's
Forgot I'm not there.
I was like, maybe there's something in the corner.
No, so they both agree.
War, back to war. Back to war.
Yes. Safe trip. See you guys.
I got 3 battle tactics and
Battle course takes control.
control more grave sites than
I'm standing on two sides to So I know it's
That very much should be a 1 week.
He's now 3.
So Anthony, being a wonderful human, knowing that the game is so far in his favor that he's not denying the grand strat.
19.
So
You got 5 every round.
able to concede a grand strat to Joe.
And yeah,
So our final score, nothing can stop Anthony from max scoring 28.
28 to 19.
28-19, your final score here. Round 4.
and the thousands online.
How many are watching?
I've
Let's go
only
with
seen
thousands.
Mason Knox in the chat,
1.
but I'm sure he's just one of many.
Yeah, well, of course.
He's probably got 85.
You get a lot of reviews too on the replays. People who might watch it at a later date. I could do it all the time.
Who would want to miss this commentary?
No,
It's gold.
It's
it's
been great.
actually really
Any-
fun. It's really fucking fun.
Grand strat, 5.
Any words from our players before we sign off for this round?
Joe Pagano is the best. He is a monster hog.
I actually should have won because he didn't drink all his beers and I did.
Oh, 10 points
It's
off.
funny. They're calling them beers, but they're just fucking White Claws in a gold bottle.
God's law.
I'm not disparaging White Claws. I'm just talking about the definition of a thing.
So,
In any case,
Logan in the chat too.
all right.
Table was electric.
It is Boogie Woogie Woo. We will be back at sometime.
I think the next
12:30,
one starts at
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock sounds about right.
when we'll have round 5. No idea who will be streaming yet. Again, we don't want to force somebody on a stream.
Yep.
So I'm not sure if we will have 2 4-0 players on stream or not, but we will try to find another exciting game. If the top players don't want to be on stream, we'll probably try to find a non-Soulblight game to stream since we've just done 2 back-to-back ones.
Yeah, although
very,
the great
very
thing,
different
very
lists.
different lists,
Yeah.
which is that is the fun part, right? So like, no one wants to watch the same army twice, but there's a lot of opportunity for other types of lists. And why would you think Soulblight would be another one of the 4-0 players? But we're gonna save that answer for the next episode.
There are a lot of the other players who are 3-0 currently are still playing, so we don't have results for them.
Yep.
There is Eric Smith running a Soulblight that was on stream yesterday versus Sam Gould's Beast of Chaos.
Yep.
And then we have Corey Begley's Night Haunt playing Ryan Burns' Soulblight. So still too early to tell. Still plenty of time left in this round. Most scores are in, but I mean those are the deciding games, so they're gonna play it out.
They've got some time. It's I think the round actually ends in
Actually, 17 minutes.
70 minutes. Yeah.
So we'll be back at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Yep. So no reason to watch.
An hour and 20
Sunday.
minutes from now.
Yep.
So please enjoy.
No Sunday football. This is where you tune in, put it on the big screen at home, grab your chips, and we're gonna go with round 5
And
in
you can see
about an
a
hour.
lot of finger pointing. Our players still talking about what they could have done. Another great reason to just have a friendly game. Make friends with your opponent.
great.
Talk it out. What could I do better? Always, if you lose a game, and you're playing against a legendary player such as Anthony Lawrence, always talk it out. See what
Or Joe.
What
It's
could I have
two-
done better? How could I
it's
have
two
played this a
Titans.
little
It's two
better?
Titans. Yeah, and that's it, it's always important of talking it back, but unfortunately, there's also dice in the game, and decisions are made at the time.
Yep.
And the game state changes so quickly that if this, then this, then this, but some of those are not necessarily hard facts. But they're chatting. We're getting lunch. We will be back, and that's what we got.
We'll be back for round 5 of the Wicked Dicey Ironweld GT. Catch you later.